Hello and welcome to the Twins Mommy NA podcast. This is a show for parents handling the joys and challenges of twins, siblings and the beautiful chaos of family life. I'm your host Carla, mum to twins and a baby, bringing you personal stories from the front lines of multiples motherhood. Whether you're a parent of twins, triplets, or simply love a heartwarming story about family life, pull up a chair and make yourself at home. You are very welcome to the Twins Mommy NA podcast. Today's episode is a very special one because it's the first in our brand new Multiples Mum group chat series here in the podcast. Conversations designed to feel like you've pulled up a chair with a warm drink in hand, surrounded by a group of mums who just get it. We're starting with a big toddler milestone this month, that is potty training. And I promise this episode is here to make it feel calmer, clear and a whole lot more doable. Because potty training one child is a journey, but potty training two or more at the same time is a completely different ballgame. Different personalities, different timings, different confidence levels. So I'm really excited to be joined by someone parents will recognise for her practical, reassuring approach, the lovely Louenna Hood. She's a maternity nurse, a parenting expert and best-selling author who has supported lots of families through these milestones. And you will hear a little laugh in the background. As we talk today, I am currently feeding baby Lara here in my lap, who has decided to wake up early and is hungry. So like all things in motherhood, nothing ever goes to plan, and that's okay. We will just roll with it. But today we are focusing specifically on potty training multiples, how to know when they're ready, whether to train together and how to keep the process positive for everyone. Louenna, I am so happy to have you here. You are very welcome to the Twins Mommy NA podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's great to be here. And little Lara as well, even better.
Thank you so much. You are so good. Tell me, how's your week going so far?
I have had a really busy week. So I've got a little girl who's 2.5, Alice. Yeah, it was actually her first nursery morning this week, her sort of settling in week. So that's like a big milestone for me. Much more for me than for her, I think. Alice has developmental delay, so we've sort of held off putting her in nursery. I just felt like the time was right now, so she's done 2 days this week, and touch wood, it's all gone really well, but I actually feel quite emotionally drained.
I am sure. What a big week in your household. How did little Alice get on? You know, it is such a big milestone to reach, attending nursery.
It is. I know, and I always think, because I've been a nanny for 20 years, so I've done this milestone with so many other families, and I always think the way you think the way that they'll react is never the way that they do. It's always shocks you. You know, the ones that you think are going to be clinging at your leg are like, bye, and then the other ones that you think are going to be really confident are actually like, oh no, this is, too scary. But Alice was really great. I mean, we have only done 2 days. So the first day I stayed with her, so she thought that was wonderful, and then the second day, yeah, she was fine. It's a really small play group, so it's not too overwhelming. And I went in with her for 5 minutes, and she was just going, wow, wow, to all the toys. And she kind of latched onto one of her teachers and seemed very happy and was wandering off without me. So I just said, I'm going to go and walk Tess now. So Tess is our little sausage dog. So I said, I'm just going to go and walk Tess now, and then I'll come back for you in a little while. And she just went, bye. So I was like, oh, okay. So that was fine. And then it was very sweet when I picked her up. I rang the doorbell, but one of the teachers knocked on the window and sort of said to me, oh, look at her through the window. And I peered through, and she was absolutely happy as Larry playing. So touch wood, so far, really positive. And I hope that she's just excited to go in next week. As I said, I do think she's ready. I think the whole playing with other little kids and stuff now is very, exciting for her. And she's been with me for 2.5 years. She's probably so bored of me.
Oh, not at all. I'm sure it's such a relief for you, to see that transition as smooth as that. Well done, you. I obviously, my twin girls, they will be starting nursery now this September, and I'm exactly like you, Louenna. I I'm very nervous about. I don't know how it's going to go. You know, they've been very used to mum. It's just been the two of them and now baby Lara and mum at home every day. And all of a sudden that will not be the case. So it's lovely to be able to hear your story, you know, and to know that it's normal to feel like that as well. Like, you know, I'm not the only one feeling like that, and just what that transition is like. So I'm delighted now. I really am. I'm delighted to hear things are going so well. So you're off to a really good start. Good on you, and good for little Alice. So hopefully things will continue well. Before we delve into all things potty training for multiples, can you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and your book, Your Baby's First Year, as well?
Yes, so I am a Norland trained nanny. So I went there over 20 years ago. For anyone that doesn't know what that is, we're the sort of old fashioned trained nannies who have the brown uniform and the hat and the gloves. So I trained there, and then I went off and I became a career nanny. So I've worked for, you know, some incredible families all over the world, and just loved every single second. I've always wanted to be a nanny from a really tiny age. I'm the oldest of 4 children, so I think that probably has something to do with it. Yes. So I just absolutely loved my time as a nanny. And then I decided that I really wanted to be able to help. You know, I feel like it's very unique to have the training that I got, then all that experience with so many different families. I feel like a lot of people maybe, you know, you just have your own family really usually, don't you? Or maybe a lot of nannies sort of maybe nanny for kind of 5 or 6 years, then maybe have their own children. So I really wanted to put all of my experience into something where everybody could benefit from this, because I'm really passionate that parents, you know, don't have any training. And it's like the biggest one job that we all want to get right. And I became very aware that I kept hearing this like, oh, I got through the first year. It was a bit of a blur. I don't remember it. I didn't love it. And I was like, I would love to help people enjoy it, because it's such a special time for us to enjoy that first year. And I think that, you know, quite a few of my tips and things just, you know, help people relax and enjoy them a bit more. Because I think there's a lot of scaremongering at the moment for mums. So I created an app. It's called the Louenna app, and that has all my advice in there. Everything I would ever say to a parent as a nanny or a maternity nurse, a lot of maternity nursing as well, is all in this app. So I find that, you know, people love it. You can read it like a book if you want to, but you can also search for the specific things that are relevant for you. So there is a specific twins section rather in the app. So all things twins is in there. So I have the app that was created 5 years ago. And then I also have my book, Your Baby's First Year. And the idea of the book is that you don't have to read the book cover to cover, because I just feel like who as a mum has time to do that? But I really wanted to be there kind of on the journey with mums. And I feel like my tips for every day, they're like, that's really helpful. So the idea of the book is that you just turn 1 page a day, and throughout that whole first year, I'm going to give you my tips and advice for that specific day. And it's things on like what your baby might be going through developmentally, how you can help them with that, what you might be going through yourself as a parent, and what you can do to sort of, you know, help yourself, your mental health, your physical health. So it's really there to just help you as a parent during that first year.
If some of our listeners would like to get a copy of your book, where could they get that? Is it the usual place on Amazon?
It is on Amazon. It's also in Waterstones. And if you come to my website, louenna.com, you can also buy them and you can gift them. They're really great gifts to give to friends. Or we sort of package them up all nicely. And we do a book and an app gift bundle, and we find that they are just so popular as a newborn gift or a baby shower gift, because the app and the book really work alongside each other.
Great. So any of our listeners who might be interested in purchasing the book, there are all the details as well. You have a wonderful Instagram account as well. I see there recently you attended an event with the lovely Ollie and Gareth Locke, who also have twins as well. Tell us a little bit about that event.
So that event was held at Jessie's house in London. That's an amazing family kind of club in Fulham. And Ollie and Gareth have twins who are 4 days younger than my little girl Alice. And so I adopted Alice. So she came to me when she was 4 days old. And so we did an event where I was talking about my adoption journey, and Ollie and Gareth were talking about their surrogacy journey and how we, you know, all three of us came to have our baby babies. So it was a really nice event. It was a room packed full of people who were mostly going through maybe thinking about adoption, maybe thinking about surrogacy. So yeah, it was great. The event, it ran over by a lot of time because there were so many questions, but it was fun.
You chat a lot there about Alice, and you can see her face light up too whenever you talk about her. Like, it's really, really special. Whenever you became a parent to Alice, did that change your perspective on your work as well?
I feel like I have just been able to, I get asked this a lot. I think I get asked about, do you parent Alice differently to how you nannied? And when I was a nanny, I always had in my mind, like, I'm at work, but this is someone's childhood. And so I always had in my mind, when I was doing anything with the children, what would I do if this child was mine? Because you want the best for that child. So I really felt like I did everything the same with Alice, but I actually just enjoyed every second with her because I wasn't at work and I could just relax and I could always just do whatever I thought was best for Alice and not have to kind of, I guess, communicate with parents and say, do you agree with this? Or sometimes parents would want to do something that I didn't agree with. And of course I had to do that because I wasn't their parent. Whereas with Alice, I just absolutely loved every second with her because I think it's just easier because, as I say, I'm not at work. I think with Alice now, if she's poorly, I can just bring her in bed with me. Or if I think, do you know what, she's absolutely exhausted, let's put a movie on and just have a snuggle on the sofa. Whereas I guess as a nanny, you can't really do that because you're at work. Yeah. So I think that's the main difference. But other than that, everything that I do as a nanny, as soon as she arrived with me, we went onto a little relaxed routine and she really thrived from that. And she's been just a little angel. She is, it's the best thing I ever did. She's just amazing. She's gorgeous.
Isn't that special? I do follow your lovely journeys on Instagram with little Alice, and she's such a happy wee soul. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. I suppose, will we make a start at all things potty training? For parents of multiples listening today, what's the first thing that you'd like them to know about potty training?
But the biggest thing I think with potty training is, please don't rush it. I feel like you've really got to wait until they're ready. Your individual child, not when your friend's child is ready, not when your parents say you are ready, when your child is ready. And I really, really think that actually the longer you can leave it, the quicker and easier it is for them to grasp mentally and physically. Because as the children grow, their bladders get bigger, they can hold more, pee. It just becomes so much easier for them. And my thing is, they're so little for such a short amount of time. And so why rush them into this stage? You know what? I find it really annoying when I'm doing something and I'm like, oh gosh, I need the loo. It's so annoying. So for a child who is really busy playing and soaking up everything, for them to have to go, okay, mummy, I need the loo, it's really annoying. So I actually think that the longer you can leave it, the better. And I never potty train a child ever before 2. Never.
That is so reassuring to hear, because there's so much information out there. It can be so overwhelming, and some people are saying this and some people are saying that, and you never know, what's right or what's wrong. So it's so reassuring to hear you say, the longer the better. Some health visitors even nowadays would say potty train before they turn 1, and for me that's so shocking. But I'm very much child-led in our house. Obviously, everybody makes their own decision what works for them, but in our house it would be very much child-led, and that was one big thing that I did worry about. I might be leaving it too late. So it's so reassuring, and it's lovely to be able to hear that. Actually, there'll be many listeners out there who will be thinking that as well. What time is the right time? Yes, to start potty training, but you're too young for potty training, Miss Laura, just yet. We have a wee while to go with you, thankfully. Two's enough for now. But can I ask, is potty training actually harder with multiples, or is it just different?
I mean, I always say with multiples, all the twins that I've looked after, and I've looked after many, many sets of twins, they're so different. They're always like chalk and cheese. And so I always think one twin is usually ready before the other. But in my experience, I usually find that once you start potty training one, the other will quite often want to follow.
Okay.
I would usually concentrate on the first, the twin that you think is ready and able to do it. and just go with the flow and see what happens. And if the other twin wants to follow, then great. But if not, it's so unique for each set of twins, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Because they are, so obviously there are twins out there who that are identical, but they are their own little individual human beings. So,
Yeah.
just because they're twins doesn't mean they're automatically ready to do everything at the same time. Oh, God bless you. Some of our mums of multiples have submitted questions that they have on potty training. Will we take a look at some of these queries? We'll kick off with twin mum Kelly. She has asked, we are a few weeks into potty training, which is going great so far. However, I have been putting a pull up on the boys for bed at night time. The boys are waking up dry most mornings, so any advice on putting them into pants for bedtime would be much appreciated. They do share a bed, so I felt it was best to start with pants during the day and work our way to bedtime. What's your thoughts on that, Louenna?
So absolutely. So you've done what I would do exactly the same. I would always potty train a child through the day, and then pull up on them at bedtime. And then you just have to see how they go. So again, I have potty trained so many children, and a couple of times I've potty trained them in the day, and then 2 weeks later they'll say, I don't want my nappy on at night. And I've kind of gone, okay, that's fine. Let's see how you go. Some are just dry. That's it. And you're away. And others will take a lot longer. So again, just be led by them. I would say that if you want them to be dry at night without their nappy on, then make sure they can get out of their bed. So I would never take a nappy away if they were in a cot. So I think you said these two were in a bed. If they need the loo in the nighttime and they wake up feeling that sensation, they need to be able to just hop out of bed and go to the loo. And then that brings the whole thing of you just make sure that your house is sort of safe for that. And it depends on your house setup. So I've been in some houses where the loo is like far away or down a couple of steps, and it would be like quite an ordeal for them to get to the loo. Yeah. And in that situation, I put a potty by their bed and I talk to them and I say, if you need the loo in the nighttime, just hop out of bed, use the potty quickly, there's wipes, jump back into bed and snuggle back in and go to sleep. Because what you don't want to happen is that they start thinking, well, when I need the loo, I have to shout for mummy or daddy, and then they have to come to me, and this is actually quite exciting, and I get to see mummy and daddy in the nighttime. And so this pattern emerges that they always need the loo in the nighttime. So actually, if you kind of explain to them, like, that's fine if you need the loo, it's here for you, but you just jump back into bed and go back to sleep.
Brilliant. That's a really, really good idea. Something that I never actually thought about. Possibly even bringing like a little potty into the bedroom with it. That's a super idea. I must remember that one.
You can also get some really good waterproof mattress protectors. So I would advise that as well. But if your little one, if you take the nappy off and they're peeing at night time, I would just put the nappy or pull up back on, because it's not nice for anybody. It's not nice for them, for us, for anyone, and there's just no point if they can't do it. So they have to be able to be dry through the night. But the question did say that they were dry most mornings. So therefore, I would probably just say, right, let's go for it. Let's not have a nappy on if you need the loo in the night time. It's all about communication. I think toddlers are so much more, they understand so much more than we think that they do. They understand a lot more than they could communicate. So I think if you have a chat with them at bedtime and explain to them what to do if they need the loo in the night, then they'll often be able to do it.
I think that's a big one, and I'm learning that every single day. Or certainly for the twins in my house anyway, they definitely understand a lot more than I do give them credit for. I think that they do. So no, that is a really, really interesting one. We have a twin mum, Jill, as well, and she has a boy and girl twins, and she is wondering, does she, like, any advice on potty training them? Does she do them both at the same time, or would she focus on one at a time? What do you think when it comes to like having twins, that one's a boy and one's a girl?
Yeah, I mean, again, it totally depends on the twins. If she thinks that they're both ready, then I would probably just do them both together. If you do think they're both ready, I would do them both together, because to be honest, it's quicker and easier for everyone. I always think with potty training, you have kind of 3 or 4 days where it's all about the potty training, and then hopefully if they're ready, then you are sort of over it and over the hill and off again. So if you can do it together, then great. But if one is ready and one's not, then just concentrate on the one that is ready, and if we're talking about boys and girls, how to potty train them differently. So with boys, I still always potty train them on the loo. Without and then afterwards, once they've mastered that, then if they want to stand up to pee, someone can show them how to do that. But I find that if you potty train them on the loo first, it means that pees and poos are the same. You're not sort of differentiating between that at the beginning, and also little boys with pee can often go always, so they have to be a bit older to manage that standing situation.
Yeah, no,
And
that's
also,
good to know.
while we're talking about that, because I'm talking about putting them on the loo, I would always advise having a toilet training seat on your loo rather than using a potty. So the first reason is that our children see us using the loo. So it's much easier for them to understand that, okay, this is where you go to your pees and your poos. The second thing is that if you have a potty, and I've troubleshooted for quite a few families where this has happened, they get the potty and the potty tends to travel around with the child. And so as soon as the child needs the loo, they're put straight onto the potty because it's in the room with them. And so the child never learns that feeling of, okay, I need the loo. Now I need to hold it for a minute to get to the loo. Another reason is because if they see this potty everywhere, the potty's in the kitchen, the potty's in the bedroom, the potty's in the living room, it's like they never get a break from this whole, oh my gosh, I'm potty training. It's just with me all the time. Whereas if you just keep that in the loo, then when they've done their pees, they can come back through and play, and we forget about this whole big deal about potty training. And then another reason why I do it is because emptying a potty is pretty disgusting. And so just being able to flush everything away is much, much nicer. So, and actually another reason I would say is that if you potty train on a potty, you then have to train them to go onto the loo, whereas you can just bypass that and go straight to the loo and then it's done.
Yeah, I'm certainly guilty of that. So in our house, we have like a little potty, and you're right, wherever the girls are, I bring the potty with me, and perhaps maybe I'm creating a little bit of pressure without even knowing that. So I maybe try that. I never even thought of that. Like, that's really, really helpful. There is another twin mum, and her twins are 18 months old, and she is asking the big question about when to start. Is it too early to start? So one of her little ones keeps trying to pull her nappy, and sometimes they would go to the door of the bathroom, and she wonders, is 18 months too young to potty train? Are these signs maybe that she is ready, maybe she's not, she's reading too much into it? What do you think about starting potty training around the 18-month mark? Too early?
Yeah, so I mean, my opinion is too early. And what often happens is you can potty train them and they can understand the concept, but in my experience, they always regress. I think it's too early. I really do. That's my opinion. I would wait. And they do often, they'll suddenly find their nappies and be like, oh, I can take this off. And it's crinkly and exciting. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they are ready to potty train. And I certainly wouldn't. My little girl went through a little thing of, we had nappies on her and she found the tabs. And so that was great fun, peeling the tabs off. So I did just switch her into the pull-ups and then it all just stopped again.
So just talking about the regression there, another twin mum, Ella, she has a query. So she has started toilet training her two little twin girls when they turned in around the 2-year, 10-month mark. And they had a very good first week, both of the twins. But since then, she has had no success at all, where so much so that one is totally refusing to sit on the potty altogether, and she just wants to run about the bathroom and play with the water, and she doesn't know what to do. Have you any advice for Ella?
Yeah, so just from that tiny little blurb that I've had there, I would say that if they grasped the concept of it, and you said it was great for a week, then that tells me that they are ready, and they're 2 years and 10 months, so great age, really ready. I would say that they're being a bit cheeky, having that thing with mummy that I can get away with this, because I think potty training is highly sensitive. We don't want to get it wrong. So we don't want to tell the children off for this. Yeah. But actually, if they did understand the concept and now they're just being, having a bit of a game with you, I think that you have to say, actually, no, we are going to sit on the loo because it's what's best for you, because otherwise you'll get a tummy ache. And so I wouldn't use a potty. I would use the loo. And so they sit on the loo, but you might have to be sort of quite, don't play the game with them. Just say, no, girls, stop. let's go to the loo, and then it's done, and make it quick. Because I think another thing that people do is tend to sort of drag out the whole process in the bathroom. The quicker the process can be for the children, and then it's all over and they can just get back playing, it's much, much better. Whereas if they're sort of running around playing, you're going to be in there a long time, and then that's when they'll start saying, oh, yeah, I don't want to use the loo because this is just a big thing now. So I would say have a little bit of firmness with them and just say, no, we are going to do this because it's what's best for you.
We have a lovely twin mum, Amy, from England. She is currently potty training at the minute, and she's decided to go with the one at a time approach in her house. She wants to know, are there any tips on number twos? Amy has Googled some tips, but she's had no success. Any advice on this one?
Yeah, so what I would say is this is so common. I would say this is probably the most common thing that people come to me with. The peas are, that's easy, but it's the pooing side that they start to hold it. So obviously we don't want them to hold it. So what I would say first is to make sure their diet is good. They're drinking lots of water. A high fiber diet will mean that they don't get constipated. So it'd be much easier, for them to pass that poo, which you just don't want it to be. If you think they're constipated and it's really sore for them, that will just be, horrendous for them. So make sure they're drinking, things like pear juice is really great, or just chopped up pear. Kiwi, another brilliant one to put in their diet. So maybe a kiwi at breakfast. Oatcakes, raisins, raspberries. What else am I thinking? So things like meal times, like brown rice, lentils, all things like that, and make sure they're drinking lots of water. So if you think they're not drinking much water, I would give them a cup with a straw, because that will often encourage them to drink more water. So that should hopefully help with the passing side of things. Lots of exercise as well, because obviously if they running around doing lots of exercise, it will increase bowel movement. And then if you ever see that you think they need to go to the loo, say things like passing wind, or they're stopped in their tracks, or maybe hiding in a corner, I would take them to the loo, sit them on the loo seat, and if a child is really tense and focused on doing a poo, they won't pass the poo. So you need to switch their mind to something else. So what I would do is put some bubbles by the loo and put whatever your little one's into. So if maybe a couple of toy animals or a book, something that they really like, put it by the loo, and then bring it out, maybe play some music. You just need to distract them whilst they're sat on the loo. If you know they need to go, talk about something else, look what's out the window, talk about what you're going to do later. And once they relax, that's when they're much more likely to pass that. And then afterwards, if they do this poo, then you need to be, lots and lots of praise. I am not adverse to, a chocolate button or some kind of treat that they would really love, because the pooing thing, you really need to get over that as quickly as you can, so it doesn't build up and become constipated. And I would say, if anyone listening thinks their little one is constipated, then please do something about it, because it's just so painful for children, and it tends to just build up and get worse and worse. So the quicker you can jump on that and do something to help them, the better.
I just noticed there, Laura has spotted you in the camera. Look, she's a little poser, Louenna, so she can see herself on the camera.
You're being very good. Co-presenter.
Fingers for you, you're right. Fingers crossed. Anyway, we'll keep going. We're doing really good today, aren't we? Yes, Mommy's talking to the lovely Louenna. We're talking about all things potty training. Yes, and she's giving Mommy some really, really good advice today. She is, and for all the lovely multiples moms listening, thank you so much for your patience, Louenna. Our house is such a busy old household, so sometimes some of the girls, one out of the three of them, make an appearance, and today we have the lovely Laura. I can hear the twins in the background. They've just got up from their nap, and their daddy is preparing lunch in the background, so it's a noisy affair behind me. But thank you so much for your patience. We'll keep going with these lovely questions here. So we have triplet mum Julianne, and Julianne is from California, and she has potty trained her triplets one at a time. It went great. However, one of the triplets has nighttime accidents almost every single night now. They are 3.5 years old, and she's really asking, what can she do when something like this happens?
Okay, so personally, I would put them in a pull-up through the nighttime.
So,
Um,
okay.
I wouldn't, some children can go dry through the night and
Yes.
others aren't ready yet. So it will come. Don't make a big deal about it. If you want to do it, quickly while the other two twins aren't looking so that it's not this big thing that two are dry and one isn't, that's, great, but I wouldn't worry about it at all. It really is something that will just come, with time. But I wouldn't want them to every night be having accidents because
Yeah.
it's just not pleasant for them or for you. And just, it's just not nice. So don't worry about it. 3.5 is absolutely fine. I've known children who stay in pull-ups until they're sort of, 7, 8, and it's absolutely fine, and obviously you can get help with much older children if you think they do need it, but more than likely it will just come.
It'll
So
come in its
I will
own
put the
time.
pull-up back on and see when the pull-up becomes dry in the nighttime. I mean, obviously, helping them with things like going to the loo before you put them to bed and making sure that they're not drinking gallons of water at bedtime. I
Yes.
would make sure they have a lot of water throughout the day, but maybe just after sort of dinner time is probably the last time that you offer them the big drink. Obviously, if they're asking for water, give it to them, but I wouldn't give them a beaker of water at bedtime and then expect them to be dry through the night.
Okay, good to know. Something that I definitely can improve on because I'm really guilty of giving the girls water late at night. So yes, I must remember that one myself. Hopefully, Julianne, that will be helpful for you. We're coming almost to the very end of the submitted questions. There's another twin mum who says she has some difficulty with her child's understanding when they need to use the toilet. What would you say to them?
I would say if they don't understand the concept,
Yeah.
then don't potty train. I would just
Don't.
stop. I would put their nappy back on. I don't think it's fair on them. I really
Yeah.
think that mentally they have to be very ready.
Yeah.
I think they need to be able to communicate with you, when they need. And I think after a few days, if they're not ready, I would just totally forget about it. Don't even talk to them about it. Just put the nappy back on. We'll try again when you are ready.
Lot of twin and triplet mums have spoken to me and they are worried about this. One twin just isn't there yet with their understanding, even though they're maybe 2.5, 3, do they keep going or not? So no, that's really reassuring. And finally, twin mum Annie has asked if there was one routine to stick to each day for potty training, what might that be? Is there even such a thing?
Not really. I mean, on the Louenna app, I have a full,
Yes.
potty training, what I would do, it step-by-step guide, I would say, to potty training.
Yeah.
So if you want to go and have a look there, it's all explained in there.
Great.
But I always say the first 3 days, and if they're ready, you will be done with my method. I would say that for the first day, I set my alarm on my phone for every half an hour. And what I do is just let them play. We're not talking about it all the time. Every half an hour, I just say, right, let's just quickly nip to the loo and see if you need a pee. And obviously in that first day, you're going to have a few accidents and that's absolutely fine. And my biggest piece of advice to everybody is if your child has an accident, whether it's a pee or a poo, always make sure you still go to take them to the loo. Because if you don't take them to the loo, what happens is the child goes, well, I can just pee and poo in here, and then it just gets cleared up and I don't have to go to the loo. Whereas if they still have to go to the loo, they very quickly work out that it's actually much quicker to just quickly go to the loo, do your business, and then get back to it. So that's a piece of advice for everybody. Even if they've done a huge pee on the floor, just say, okay, you've done a pee, so we have to go to the loo quickly, sit on the loo, and then just talk to them. Just say, when you need a wee, tell me, say, mummy, I need a wee, and then we'll run to the loo, we'll do it really, really quickly, we'll wash our hands quickly, and then we'll go back to playing. So that is my routine for the first day or two, is to just set my alarm for every half an hour in the hope that you'll catch them when they do actually need a pee. And then they can do that first pee on the loo and you can be like, yes, this is amazing. Well done. And then they understand what's expected of them. And again, every child is a bit different. Some can go much longer before needing the loo. Some are so communicative that they will very quickly just be saying to you, I need the loo. Whereas others, you will need to keep sort of taking them to remind them that that's what they need to do.
Okay, great. Listen, thank you so much for taking the time to answer those queries for us. I just have a couple of extra topics myself I'd love to ask you if that's okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'd love to have a chat with you about readiness and timing.
Yes.
What are the clearest signs that, for example, a toddler is ready, especially when you've got two developing side by side? Are there any very typical signs that you could say as mom or dad, yes, this toddler's ready for potty training?
Yeah, sure. So I think there's a mixture of signs. So the first thing I would say is when they're going much longer before peeing in their nappy. So, for example, my daughter Alice is 2.5. I
Yes.
only have to change her nappy kind of when she wakes up in the morning and then before she goes down for her sort of 1 o'clock nap, unless she's obviously done a poo. But before I was having to change it much more regularly because she was constantly peeing, whereas now I know that she holds it and then she pees a bit more. So I'd say that's a big sign. Another thing is them being able to communicate with you. And it doesn't necessarily mean they can talk in full sentences to you, but they have to be able to communicate in some way to you that this is what I'm feeling. I need to go to the loo. Things that they often start doing is sort of standing still to pee or to poo, telling you, holding themselves. It's just they're very aware that they are doing that in their nappy. Being able to pull their trousers up and down is quite, not fully and do buttons and everything, but they need to have some, ability to be able to pull their trousers up and down. And then obviously if they're sort of asking to be changed because they don't like the feeling of it being in their nappy, they are the big signs to look out for. I would say don't potty train your child if, there's a big life event going on. So if there's a new baby arriving, I would think about timing, whether you're going to do it well in advance or if you're going to wait until that baby is really integrated in your family before you start potty training, or if you're moving house or if they're starting nursery. I just wouldn't do it all at once because it's just too much for them.
Were very overwhelming. That was something I worried about because whenever my twins turned 2.5, little Laura arrived. Now I was recovering from a C-section as well, so running after twin toddlers at the potty and recovering from C-section just was not the right choice for me. So I decided to wait that a couple of months longer whenever I felt well enough, and it was the best decision I ever made. Now I felt guilty. Gosh, these girls are ready for potty training, but it just wasn't the right time. So definitely. Something big happening. Like a new baby coming to the household, just to pause. Potty training. Can you hear the twins? They're shouting.
I can hear them now.
In the background.
Yeah.
It's not usually a happy time. They are very much joining in. It's very much a happy time in our house when it's feeding time. Yes, isn't that right? Yes. And so it's two happy girls now. They've had a great nap and they're ready for action this afternoon. Okay, but we'll keep going. They may decide to join us during the podcast, but we'll keep going anyway for now. One thing that I would love to ask, and this is obviously quite specific for children, are you blowing raspberries or Perlena?
You're so sweet. You are a pro at this. Right into the microphone.
Yeah, you're a wee pet today. Yes, no, but you're getting kisses, lady. You're very lucky. Not everybody gets some of those. You're very special.
Oh, sweet girl.
But I'd love to ask you, does prematurity or corrected age change when parents should start potty training as well?
Again, it's completely, every case is individual here, but yes, quite often you need to wait. If you've had a preemie baby, then I would say wait and until they are a bit older, and it's just when they are ready, not by age. Don't do it by my child is 2 years old now, so I must potty train. Don't think of it like that. Think of it by each child and when they are ready. But quite often, if you've had a real preemie baby, they might have to wait until near 3.
Longer. Another big one that I'd love to hear your advice on, I know we've talked about it very briefly, is about accident regression. What should parents do if they feel that they're just getting absolutely nowhere with potty training? They've tried everything. They thought their children were ready, but they're just not. So they're not achieving anything. What would you say to them?
Okay, so first of all, I'd make sure that you've sort of had a read of what my steps in the lead up, because obviously there's quite a few things that you can do to prep them before potty training. So things like letting them watch you on the loo. So really emphasizing, I'm going to go and do a pee now. This is this is me doing a pee, and taking them with you, things like that is always good before you start potty training. Talk to them about it, what it means, read books together, maybe point out other children who if you've got, a cousin or a friend, you can say, oh, look, they don't wear a nappy, they have pants. So prep them, do my step-by-step guide. If you think that they're not getting anywhere after a few days, just stop. Just stop, because the last thing you want is for your child to get anxiety about it, or also start holding. So I would just stop. If you have potty trained them and you think they absolutely understood, it's a bit like the question you asked me earlier, if they did understand the process and now you've gone backwards, then I will probably persevere a bit more and be like, hold on a minute, you can do this, as long as they are old enough. Then I would say continue. But I would say, so what I'd say to everyone is, don't do half and half. Either do it or don't do it. So I would say, don't sort of think, okay, we're sort of half-heartedly doing it. Sometimes they're in pants, sometimes when we go out, they're in nappies. I just wouldn't do that. I think it's really confusing, and it goes on and on and on, this process. And then when they do have an accident, it's confusing for them because, well, I had a nappy on, before, and so I could, and now I couldn't. They just really need to go for it in pants during the day or not. So that's what I would say.
So either or, not back and forth to confuse everybody. Yeah, great. Yeah. Okay.
And if you're thinking, just totally stop for a good few months, so it's completely out of their mind.
And then try again.
Restart from the beginning. Yeah.
Okay, good to know. One thing that I'd love to know, a big thing for me, certainly for mental health, is to get out and about. I love getting out and about of the house, very important. It's great for the girls and it's great for me as well. So with potty training, how can I manage the outings in the early days? Say, for example, you want to go to a little soft play in the afternoon, do we take a potty with us? Do we wear pants, pull-ups? I'm personally a little bit nervous getting out and about, when we're really only starting potty training. What would you recommend?
So I would say when you start potty training, give it a good week before you decide to go to a soft play, maybe. I'm not saying don't leave the house. Obviously go out for walks and things and do things, but I'd say, a big event like going to soft play, I would give them a good full week. But don't put them back in their pants. Talk to them. So say to them as they're about to go off on a soft play, remember, if you need to go to the loo, come and tell me and we'll go really quickly. The other thing to remember is to make sure that you sit them on the loo just before you leave the house. So hopefully that will give you a bit of time. And then just don't make it stressful for them. I think for us, when a toddler says, I need the loo, and you're like, oh no, I've got to take all of you to the loo, and it's but actually just check yourself, because that is really unhelpful for your child, because they're like, oh gosh, oh no, okay, this is a drama. I wish I'd never said anything. So what you need to just think in your mind, smile at them and say, brilliant, well done, even if you're not thinking that in your head, got to give them lots of positive reinforcement for coming to tell you, and say, great, okay, just hold it. We need to gather everyone else up. We're just going to go to the loo quickly, but well done. That's brilliant for telling me. Keep talking to them and then go to the loo.
Go to the loo
because it will be, I'm not fluffing it up. It is annoying. I've done it lots of times myself. It's just hard work for a few weeks. But actually, if you can crack it in those first couple of weeks, then it will be, easier for everybody. So that would be my advice. The other thing is, take spare clothes with you. If they have an accident, it's fine. It's just, whip them off, put them in a plastic bag, be done with it. And then my other tip I would say to everyone, when you're going out with your child who's potty training, another thing that often happens is that, if you go to a public loo, often they are not very nice, a bit disgusting. And so we're going, oh my gosh, don't touch that, don't touch this. And then it makes the child really stressed. And then often they're like, oh no, I don't need the loo. So again, just think about yourself and how you're reacting. Although it might be absolutely revolting, we know that possibly germs are there, but your child doesn't. And it's actually much better that they don't know, because you want them to relax on the loo and go to the loo. So hold them. If you're going to a public space, it's a big toilet, so you need to hold them on so they don't feel like they're about to drop into this big loo. So just hold them there, just say, well done, this is brilliant, well done for telling me, you're so grown up, I'm so proud of you. And then hopefully they'll just relax, go to the loo, and then everyone washes their hands. Again, it needs to be something that's just really non-eventful, not a big deal. We're just going to go to the loo really quickly, and then we're going to get back to what we were doing before.
Yeah, and keep it very simple. I was just thinking, whenever you were talking there, going through my mind, obviously we're coming into the spring and then the summer, so I'll be thinking of those beach days, with toilets and things like that. So that's really helpful. I wouldn't even have thought of that, but yeah, that makes total sense. Obviously our children feed off our reactions and emotions and things like that, so I'll definitely be very mindful of that. So thank you for that. Things you wouldn't even think about, but when you say it, it's like, gosh, yeah, actually, I get that. I completely get that. You're thinking about nighttime and naps, when should parents think about tackling those? Some people, I was out at a talk group this week and some of the mums were not sure whether to put a little pull-up on or whether to put pants or to put a nappy back on them. I know you've answered that briefly, but like nighttime and nap time, they're quite nervous about it. What would you say to them? Would it be pants? Would it be pull-ups? Would it be nappy for those naps and obviously bedtime as well?
So you're talking about if you've potty trained your little one and now you're thinking about dry at night time. So I would start with naps first.
Yes, okay.
And just see if they can manage. So put them on the loo, put them into bed without the nappy on, and just see if they can manage that. And then nighttime, I really wait for them to, if they're dry in the morning, if they ask, if ever a child asks me and says, I don't want to wear my nappy at night, and they've been dry in the day for a few weeks, I always just say, okay, that's fine. Talk to them, about what will happen if they wake up in the night and they need the loo, and just see how it goes. Again, use that waterproof sheet. But if they can't do it, then I would really just put the nappy back on. Honestly, it's just, I can't answer when to do it because, as I say, some children I've potty trained at 2.5, 2 weeks later, they take the nappy off at night and it's just fine for them. But a lot of others are in their pull-up for a lot longer.
Little Laura's been a wee wriggly of my knee here. We're almost finished with the podcast. Yes, we're almost finished. The wee pet.
She's been an angel.
She's been so good so far. Anyway, we're happy because we've just had a little feed there just at the start of the podcast, so we're good for. One thing I'd love to ask you is, what is your best advice for staying calm when there's times things just feel so chaotic? I would throw my hands up and say, during the potty training, there are times it's like, gosh, this is really hard going, especially with the two of them, and I'm obviously looking after little Laura in the middle of it as well. If you any advice for the mums out there who just feel like, gosh, this is really tough old going, what would you say to them?
If it's just really overwhelming, I would just say, like anything, what's the very worst that's going to happen? The very, very worst that's going to happen is probably that they poo in their pants. And if they do that, just take a deep breath. It's all okay. All that's going to happen is we need to clear up the mess, and we're going to carry on again.
Carry on again. Love that.
I'm really, really hoping that it shouldn't be too overwhelming and too chaotic. I think that the first week it's quite intense because you just have to have a bit of a clear week so that you can really concentrate on this for them. But after that, hopefully it should be a lot better. And of course you're going to have accidents. And just say, oh dear, one thing I always say to them is another little trick for you is buy them some pants with a character on that they really like. So if your child is into Peppa Pig or tractors or whatever it is, buy them some pants which has this motif on them. And then if they have an accident, you can say to them, oh no, Peppa's wet. Oh, that's not very nice. Peppa doesn't like it being wet. And quite often they're like, oh, okay. But the overwhelm thing, I really hope it isn't too overwhelming. And I think that please go and read, the chapter in the Louenna app because it should be really, really helpful. And there's lots and lots of tips and advice. And I think the biggest thing is just wait until they're ready. And don't worry what your friends are doing or what your mum is telling you to do.
Yeah.
Wait for them to be ready so they are almost potty training themselves, to be honest.
that comparison trap, many of us can fall into it in different things in parenting. So yeah, no, I think that's key. Obviously every child develops in their own way, and whenever they're ready, and my mum has a great phrase, she'll say to me, Carla, your children will develop when they're ready, not when you're ready, and I always remember that, so I think that is key to all, like lots of aspects, not just potty training for parenting as well. So we are to the end of the podcast chat today, but before we go, would you be up for a quick fire question round?
Go for it.
So we have rewards or no rewards?
Rewards.
Sticker charts, helpful or not helpful?
Depending on each child. Sometimes helpful. Sometimes it depends on the child. Sometimes they just don't, respond to it. But if they do respond to it, great.
Well, we have reached the end of our chat on all things potty training for multiples. Louenna, you have been a breath of fresh air. You really have. Thank you so much for joining us today. That was incredibly reassuring and so helpful for parents navigating this stage with more than one little person at the same time. And to everyone listening, this episode is the very first in our Multiples Mums group chat series here on the Twins Mummy NI podcast. Conversations designed to make you feel less alone and more confident in the day-to-day realities of raising multiples. If you find this helpful, please share it with another multiples mum who's approaching the potty training stage. Before you go, Louenna, remind us where, if any of the listeners would like to purchase your book, where they can, because I'm sure many of our listeners would like to grab a copy of it.
Great. Yeah. So the book is on Amazon or Waterstones, or come to my website, www.louenna.com. And you can find everything that I do on there. We do consultations purely for potty training. So if you want some proper one-to-one help, we can guide you through it and have some 5-day support. And also I would highly recommend that you download the Louenna app, because that is where all my potty training advice is there for you.
Yeah, it's great. I have it here. I'll just open up the app. I just have it here on my phone in front of me. That particularly love that there's a section on it, a little circle for twins as well. Yeah, you don't often see things like that, which is great. So some of the things there, like saving money when buying for twins, life with twins, you've your different stages for twins, buying for twins. But a big thank you for sharing such practical and reassuring advice with us today. And thank you so much for your patience and for being so good with little Laura, who I didn't expect to be joining us.
Favorite. I've loved it with Laura. She's made it for me.
Oh, you're so good. I really do appreciate your time. So I'll see you all in the next episode. Same place, same chat, and plenty more multiple specific conversations coming your way. Woo, we made it, Louenna. We made it today. It's all for me.
Oh my gosh, well, I can't believe she's been there for a whole hour. Your arm.
Oh, no. And so it's great, because normally I have 2, so it's different. Right. Having 1. This is a holiday.
Okay, fine.
It's been such a treat to be able to chat with you. You've really brightened my spirits today. I don't know what it's like over with you, but here in Northern Ireland it's very dreary, and we're
here as well.
Is it? Stuck indoors a lot in the bad old weather. No. So you've just been a little ray of sunshine, and you've brightened us all up. I thank you so much for your time. Take care. Louenna,
nice to meet you.
I'll be in touch with you. You too. Bye.
Bye.
Well, that's it for this month's podcast episode. Thank you so much for keeping me company today. I'll be back next month with more stories, laughs, and honest chats about life with multiples on the Twins Mummy NI podcast. In the meantime, take care, and remember, there is always hope.